Welcome to a journey into a realm beyond imagination. Have you ever wondered what chilling secrets the ancient Egyptians buried with their dead? Prepare to unlock the most comprehensive and terrifying guide to the afterlife ever conceived. The Book of the Dead. This isn't just a collection of spells. It's a detailed map, a battle plan for the soul's perilous journey, promising eternal bliss or eternal damnation. Forget everything you thought you knew. We are about to reveal truths about life, death, and resurrection that will reshape your understanding of history. The Egyptians called it Sekhet-Aaru, which has been translated as coming forth by day, or the manifestation of day. But its true, mystical meaning likely transcends any modern language. Another title, the chapter of making perfect the spirit, hints at its ultimate purpose. Imagine text designed for the well-being of the dead, guiding their journey beyond the grave, known to exist as early as 4000 BC. The earliest forms, the pyramid texts, are ancient whispers from the dawn of civilization. With the advent of mummification, a complete funerary ritual emerged, based on a single powerful hope: that these ceremonies would protect the corpse from decay, preserve it forever, and ensure a blessed existence among the gods. Just before the dynastic era, the cult of Osiris exploded across Egypt. He became the supreme god of the dead, teaching that a beautiful astral body would spring from the preserved corpse, the eternal home for the spirit. This belief led to extreme measures for human preservation, practices that remain mind-boggling even today. What truly defies belief is the sheer antiquity of these writings. Many texts within the Book of the Dead are far older than the time of Menes, Egypt's first historical king. Internal evidence suggests some chapters were revised and edited long before the copies we now possess were made, as early as 3300 BC. Even then, the professional scribes copying these ancient texts were often puzzled, barely grasping their full meaning. As Dr. Budge states, the earliest forms of this work likely appeared with the very foundation of Egyptian civilization in the Nile Valley. Consider a discovery 3,400 years old: a hieratic inscription on the sarcophagus of Queen Khenemfert, dating to approximately 2500 BC. This inscription shockingly claims a certain chapter of the Book of the Dead was discovered during the reign of King Hesept, around 4266 BC. That means a chapter was considered ancient by the Egyptians themselves nearly 2,000 years before that sarcophagus was even created. The mind reels at the thought of a tradition preserving such complex religious formulas almost perfectly for unlettered centuries. It proves that centuries ago, parts of the Book of the Dead were already seen as extremely ancient, mysterious, and difficult to comprehend. The inscription on Queen Khenemfert's tomb further details this chapter, being found in the foundations beneath the dweller in the Hennu boat by the foreman of builders during King Hesep's reign. The Nubsini papyrus adds another layer of mystery, claiming the chapter was found in Hermopolis on an alabaster block, written in lapis lazuli letters beneath the feet of a god. Later, the Turin papyrus, dating from the 26th dynasty, identifies the finder as Harutaduf, the son of chiefs, who was inspecting temples at the time. While scholars like Sir Gaston Maspero express doubt about the exact importance of these statements, M. Naville considers this chapter among the oldest in the Book of the Dead. A Second Dynasty relief confirms the antiquity of funerary rituals, dedicating to a priest the formula of 1,000 loaves of bread, thousands of jugs of ale, common in later times. This shows that as early as 4000 BC, providing food and drink offerings for the dead was a religious duty, a practice already fixed and ritualistic. This further supports the ancient claims found on the sarcophagus of Mentuhotep's wife. Centuries later, around 3766 BC, the cult of the dead greatly expanded from an architectural perspective, leading to larger and more imposing tombs. Victorious Wars brought immense wealth to Egypt, enabling its inhabitants to meet the considerable expenses of this incredibly costly religious cult. During the reign of Menkaure, a revision of certain parts of the Book of the Dead's text appears to have been undertaken, based on rubrics stating they were found inscribed on alabaster and lapis lazuli from his era, a complete, comprehensive text of the Book of the Dead as a whole wasn't found until the reign of Unas 3333 BC. His pyramid, opened in 1881 by Sir Gaston Maspero, revealed stone walls covered with texts extremely difficult to decipher due to their archaic nature and spelling, many of them from the Book of the Dead. Further excavations by Maspero at Saqqara in the Pyramid of Teta, 3300 BC, uncovered inscriptions identical to those in Unas's pyramid, proving the existence of a fully formed Book of the Dead by the time of the 6th dynasty's first king. Additional texts were found in the tomb of Pepi I, 3233 BC. Thus, before the close of the 6th dynasty, 5 copies of texts forming the Book of the Dead of that period exist. Substantial proof indicates its ceremonies were practiced in the 2nd and possibly even the 1st dynasty. Astonishingly, its texts continued to be copied and employed until the 2nd century of the Christian era, spanning over 3 millennia each. Chapter of the Book of the Dead likely had an independent origin, their inclusion and adoption into the main body of work spreading over many centuries. While some texts might reflect changes in theological opinion, each chapter stands alone. However, a traditional order for the sequence of chapters seems to have existed. There were 3 main recensions or versions of the Book of the Dead: the Heliopolitan, the Theban, and the Saite. The Heliopolitan version, edited by priests of Anu, known to the Greeks as Heliopolis, was based on texts now lost. The pyramids of Unas, Teta, and Pepi contain original texts of this recension, representing the theological system introduced by the priests of Ra. The essentials of primitive Egyptian religion were retained, with the only modification being the introduction of Ra's solar doctrine. Later, Ra's priesthood was forced to acknowledge Osiris's supremacy, a theological defeat evident in more modern texts. Between the 6th and 11th dynasties, the priests of An occasionally edited fresh chapters. The Theban recension was highly popular from the 18th to the 22nd dynasties, typically written on papyri and painted on coffins with hieroglyphs. Each chapter was distinct, but seemed to lack a fixed place in the entire collection. The Saite recension was definitely arranged at some point before the 26th dynasty, found on coffins and papyri in hieratic and Demotic scripts, and continued to be used until the end of the Ptolemaic period. As we've seen, the Book of the Dead was meant for the deceased from the moment they entered the otherworld. Magic was the very essence of existence in that sphere. Without knowledge of the formulas that commanded the respect of gods, demons, and even inanimate objects, a spirit was helpless. The primitive Egyptians called the realm where the dead departed, believing it was formed from the body of Osiris. It was seen as dark and gloomy, containing pits of fire and dreadful monsters circling the earth, bounded by a river and towering mountains. The part nearest to Egypt was a mix of desert and forest, through which the deceased soul could not hope to struggle unless guided by a benevolent spirit who knew its paths. Thick darkness veiled everything, under which hideous inhabitants practiced hostility towards newcomers, unless the deceased could prove superiority through words of power. Yet, there was one delightful region, Sekhet-Aaru, the Elysian Fields, containing Sekhet-Aaru, the Field of Reeds, where Osiris and his company dwelt. Initially, Osiris ruled only this part of the Duat, but he gradually extended his domain over the entire land of the dead, becoming its monarch. A god of the Duat named Duathi also existed, seemingly a personification of the region itself. Ultimate wish of all good men was to reach the kingdom of Osiris. To that end, they exhaustively studied the prayers and rituals of the Book of the Dead, to easily penetrate this region of bliss. They could reach it by two paths, land and water. The water path was no less terrifying, with fire streams boiling, water, and riverbanks teeming with evil spirits blocking the soul's passage. The Book of the Dead contains a treasury of spells, hymns, and litanies. Imagine a hymn to the setting sun, praising Ruah as he rises and sets, or a hymn of praise to Osiris, the Lord of Eternity, with his manifold forms and majestic attributes, revered in secret temples. These texts provided the soul with words of adoration and protection, guiding them through the perilous journey. One profound ceremony was opening the mouth. A flint instrument found in New Stone Age tombs and known from dynastic inscriptions was used. This proves that even in ancient times, this ceremony was performed on the dead body to help the soul or spirit gain the faculties needed in the afterlife. By thrusting the flint instrument between the dead man's teeth, his spirit form was believed to acquire the power to eat, drink, speak, think, and perform all bodily functions. The chapter of causing the soul to be united to its body in the underworld. From the Papyrus of Ani is a powerful plea for wholeness beyond death. It's a prayer for the soul to return to its body, to possess its spirit and shade, and to triumph everywhere, never lying down in death. This highlights the Egyptian belief in the interconnectedness of